Hello guys, it's me again. This is another video. I guess you could say it's a second video following up on the 3 Days of Darkness video. There was a couple things that I had forgotten to add in that one about the 3 Days of Darkness, mainly because that was one of my very first videos. And this is something new to me. I don't really do it much, but God has showed me that this is a good way to get the word out there and to do what He has called me to do, to be a watchman and to warn everybody that will listen. In my last video, I was talking about the 3 Days of Darkness, and after the 3 days of darkness happened and when the sun started coming back out, I told you that there was something that rocks the earth. You know, there was like a time frame from when the sun came back out, and then something rocks the earth, like 40 days, 40 to 50 days in between there, where we're witnessing and prophesying, winning souls for the kingdom. When one thing that I forgot to say was when that certain event rocks the whole earth, it was something that rocks the earth to where it's able to be felt. It's not just a normal earthquake. It could be an earthquake, could be an earthquake that rocks the whole earth. There's supposed to be a big one like that, and it's mentioned in the Bible a number of times, something like that. But as this big event happens, this is something that rocks the earth. The main thing of the whole 3 days of darkness, and I can't believe that I forgot to mention it, as it rocks the earth, Jesus showed me as soon as whatever it rocks the earth, we're gone. We're caught up. That's the rapture. And then he said, whoever else is left behind, that's when all the chaos starts happening. That's when the seals are being broken. That's when, you know, the vows are being poured out, and the trumps and all that stuff in Revelation. That's when it starts getting crazy. And that is one of the main things that I shouldn't have left out. But I was so anxious and trying to remember everything that He had given me. And there was one other thing that I want to make a little bit clearer on when I was talking about being in the house. And Jesus said that whoever is in the house, that He would be the light and that the light would not go out. There's not going to be power anywhere. The EMP is going to be so big and so drastic that it's going to wipe out all electric. I mean, it's going to burn. It's going to literally burn up wiring. Cars aren't going to be able to run anymore. There'll still be cars, but they won't be able to run anymore. There will be whatever candle, whatever flashlight, whatever. The batteries aren't going to run out in a flashlight in those 3 days if you leave it on completely. The candles that you light up are not going to run out at all. You know, they're going to stay lit for the whole 3 days, because Jesus says as soon as you light whatever you light, that's going to be, He's going to be that light, and it will not go out, especially if you're a Christian household. Now, when I said that everybody be sealed upon their forehead, I didn't mean everybody in that way. I meant he told me that everyone that is in the household, that even the ones that aren't saved, are going to be saved through that household. They're going to become Christians. They're going to be blood bought saints of God. But the ones that are going to be sealed are the ones that are being sealed of the 144,000. You know, it's what Revelation says. It's all the different tribes all around the world that still haven't came back to Jerusalem yet. It's not just the ones that are in Jerusalem. He showed me that it's different sects or sectors of Jews, that people that are related to Jews and have a Jewish background history, but yet they don't even know it. It's those Christians that have sold themselves out to God, that are pure in here, pure heart, because that's the only thing he looks upon. The pure heart, the person that has a heart after God, like David did. That's the person that has a Jewish background heritage, one that is pure, washed in the blood. And if he is one of those that are linked up with 144,000, we don't know who all that is. Since the Jews were scattered, all over the whole nations of the earth, yeah, there's a big number of them that have came back and started living in Israel, but there is still a big number of those that are partial Jews. Like, I studied my history all the way back, and as you can tell, I'm part Viking. Actually, a lot of Viking. But the thing that's funny, though, I studied it even back farther than that, and I have a little bit of Jewish history in my background, way, way back, way before the Vikings were even around. So that might be it. He might be saying that he was going to be putting the seal of God on me. I might be one of the 144,000, which I doubt it, but that's up to God. But I'm rambling on that. But what he showed me was the same way where he talks about a number of times in the Bible of him saving the whole household. Of course, there's people that were in the house that weren't Christians and everything. Like, I think one of the stories I can think of is Rahab, maybe, and he saved her whole household. Well, that's the way that this time frame is going to be. And in another part, since I had that vision, I kept on asking God, I'm like, where's the blood on the doorpost? Because this whole aspect is going to be just like the Exodus. And that was another funny thing too, because he literally showed me that you have the Bible open, you have Revelations, things to come, you have Genesis and Exodus, the things that have already been. He said if you take both of those Revelations and Genesis and you fold them up together, they're intertwined. Uh, they pretty much go together. Like, what happened in Genesis is going to be rehappening. Genesis and Exodus is going to be rehappening in Revelations, but backwards. You have Genesis starting in the garden, going through and going to Exodus. Well, then you have the seals and everything going back to the garden, the new Jerusalem, the new planet, the new earth. That's the same time frame. They're all intertwined, and to be able to understand Revelations, you not only have to have Daniel, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Zechariah, Joel, all the books in the Old Testament. You got to link it up with the Genesis, because it does. It fits together just like a glove if you get to studying both of them. Because sorry, because the main thing that hell was made for, it wasn't for those sinner humans that sin against God. It wasn't for that, because God doesn't want anyone to go to hell, any human. It was basically made for the falling realm, for the falling angels and Satan. And that is there. It's spoken about a lot in the Old Testament, a little bit in the New Testament, but in Genesis, that's where the stories of the fallen realm is. Other than the Book of Enoch, which a lot of people say you need to watch out reading some of those other books. Well, they're Jewish historical documents, and the Jews still go by them today. And in Enoch is even mentioned in the New Testament. So if it's mentioned in the New Testament, I do believe I think Jesus said something about it. So if he mentions something about it in the New Testament and it's in there, don't you think we should at least look into it and read it, see what it's got to say for itself? And then there's other books like Josephus, the Maccabees, the Book of Jubilee. Those are just historical documents that the Jews still go upon today and still read and still follow. But it's more of a history book of getting into the life of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob more in depth. And it lets you know a little bit more than what our Bible does, because just little bits and pieces of each one of the books were put in. Genesis, you know, Genesis is the beginning, and there was a lot of stuff in the beginning, and there's a lot of stuff missing out of Abraham's life that is not in the Bible. There's a lot missing out of the story of Noah, that is not mentioned in the Bible, but it is in the book of Jasher. I've been reading those, and they have been opening up my eyes. And what really got me into, I guess, pretty much all of this visions and dreams and studying and wanting to know, reading other books, historical document books like the Book of Jasher and some of those that are, I consider them to be biblical books. I was 20, I think I was 22 years old, sitting in a little old small country church. Had my kids beside me. We just had a really good service. And I was at the altar praying for probably about 45 minutes. It was one of those prayers where you didn't really pray anything. You were just sitting there pouring your heart out to God, and not even really mentioning hardly any words, but yet He knew what you were saying. And I walked back and sat back in the pew, and I said, I just spent 45 minutes in the presence of God. And I walked back to the pew and I said, there's got to be something more to this. And Jesus spoke up to me just the same way I'm speaking to you. He said, find out about me. And I'm like, I've been reading your word, Lord. He's like, no. He said, study my history. Study where I come from, the Jewish traditions and the Jewish culture. And I was like, okay. And that started getting me into having more of a desire and a zeal to want to know who Christ truly is and what He came from, and some of the other things that are mentioned in the Bible that people don't even really pick up on. For one, I'll just give you a little nugget. I love giving little nuggets. One of them is Jesus wasn't poor. And I know I'm going to probably hear some backlash from this, but, go for it. It's all through the Bible, actually. Jesus wasn't poor at all. There's little hidden hints in there to even let us know. For one, if you study up on the cultures of the Middle Easterners, especially around Jesus' birth. When Jesus was born, about 2 years later, you have the Magi coming from the east that brought gifts. Well, in all of our stupid Christmas plays and all that, don't get me wrong, I love Christmas plays, and I love Christmas, but it has just been centered around so much untruthfulness. For one, there was not 3 wise men. For one, there was not just them that came. If they came from the east, they came from Ethiopia and eastern countries. Well, during that time, Ethiopia was the richest nation on the earth. The richest. Look it up. It's in the historical books. And when you had wise men that traveled in any kind of caravan, it's even in the Bible whenever Abraham was leaving, leaving his land of Ur, going into the Canaan land. Yeah, he was moving to a different place, but he took a caravan. And these three wise men that came didn't know it wasn't only just them and a couple servants. They were traveling across thousands and thousands of miles. Took them 2 years to travel, so they did possibly come from somewhere over east. It could be. I don't think it was Ethiopia. Sorry, I think it was China. I think it was somewhere around there. Well, anyways, China is an ancient place, and the caravans that I studied when I started finding out about this, the caravans back then, whenever they traveled, would be anywhere from 2,000 to 20,000 people in a caravan that would travel for that long to see a king, because that's what the Magi were coming. They were bringing riches. They were bringing gifts to a king. And if you study out, you can look into. Here's a funny thing. You can even look in the Lion King being performed. You just didn't have little itty bitty people, three people or a small group of people come. It was the whole nations. And the three wise men of that, there was a big band. And just saying. And then the gifts that they bring, I get so upset whenever I see this little bag of gold and maybe this little jar of myrrh and this little thing of frankincense. Because it wasn't these little bags. It was chests of gold. Chests. Pirate chests. Even bigger. It was enough frankincense and myrrh for his death and burial. That was probably 2 or 3 clay canisters. There was a lot. A lot. So when Jesus came and he got those gifts from the wise men, he was a king being born. So he had enough stuff for royalty. People always place him as poor, meek, and lowly. That's what he was in the spirit. He wasn't that in true flesh. And another example is his 12 disciples. Why would he have to have a treasure if he was poor? Go study it. And here's another good nugget for you. They sit there and say that we have no indication what happened to Jesus from after 12 years old until his ministry. And I don't understand why preachers of the past couple hundred years, didn't understand this and didn't know it, because they didn't study the culture and the traditions of the Jews. Jesus was the firstborn male son of a family. The firstborn male son of a family that is carried down a lineage, has a birth line. They go in, as soon as they turn the age of 13, they become a man. It's, I can't remember, I can't think of the name of it right now, but they become a man. And I learned this and started learning this when I read the book of Jasher. And the book of Jasher talks about Abraham and Isaac. After Abraham goes and lays Isaac up for sacrifice, and after that story, in the Bible, you don't have any other thing until Isaac is going and looking for his wife, Elizabeth. Rebecca or Elizabeth, I can't remember. Well, anyways, looking for his wife. And obviously he's 30 some years of age or so. So you have that whole time frame. Well, the book of Jasher sits there and tells you exactly who or exactly where he went. Abraham sent Isaac off because he was 13, a young man at that time. Sent him off because he was the firstborn. Yeah, of course, Ishmael was the firstborn, but the firstborn Jewish son to, Sarah and Abraham. So he was sent to the temple, as all Jews did back then, of the firstborn male son that was supposed to take over the lineage and the birthright of his father, went into the temple and was taught the things of the temple and the words of God until he was of age to be married. That's where Jesus was. How do I know that? It's mentioned all throughout the Bible in little bits and pieces, and people don't even pay attention and don't even grasp it. Us ourselves, preachers, have literally said the words in our sermons. And all we have to do is listen to what the apostles called him. The apostles called him master, teacher, rabbi. So where was Jesus after he turned 13, after the age of 12, until his ministry when he was 20 some years old, 26, 27? Where was he? He was in the temple, getting taught and teaching others. Study it. Look it up. Just another one of those wonderful nuggets that I love to hand out. Sorry that this is all over the place. I'm still kind of new at doing some of these videos. Don't know how many more I'm going to do. I might start doing some videos and just reading through my book of visions and dreams and seeing, just getting them out there just to see if they're to help to anybody. But I'll have to pick them out because some of them is kind of personal. But I hope that you guys have a blessed week. This is the 10th of February, 2022. Things are going to start happening around the corner, people. I hope that you, and by I mean around the corner, I mean in the next couple months, things are going to start happening. And we are going to start seeing Revelation start unfolding more and more as we get closer to 2024. Pray for God's strength, God's guidance, God's boldness and zeal to be able to do His work for His kingdom. And I pray that all of you will start getting into God's Word and start studying. Start having a heart like David that is longing to hear your Master, your Savior, speak to you. Turn off those radios. Turn off that TV. Put that phone down. And if you're not reading the Word, just sit there in meditation and pray to Him and worship Him in song in your heart. You don't have to sing it out. Just worship it in your heart. And thank God for everything that you have. Because without Him, you would have nothing. Love you guys. Talk at you later.